Let's talk about the agenda today and some introductions. First, I am Sri Chilukuri. I'm Vice President of Product and Marketing at OpenBB, and I'll be your host today. I'll be your MC. I'm MC for this event. Second is first on the speakers list is Didier Lopes, who is our founder and CEO. And Didier is going to speak about democratizing investment research, which is our mission. We are on that mission right now. And he's also going to chat about a little bit about the history as well. So for those of you who are new to OpenBB, I suspect most of you know OpenBB pretty well, but just in case, so we want to cover that as well, some history. Followed by Didier will be Jeroen Bouma. He's our product manager. He has been leading the charge on OpenBB Terminal 2.0 launch. And he's going to discuss what's in the terminal. In particular, again, touch a bit on all the functionality that's in there. That way people are aware of it. People are new to OpenBB. But more importantly, touch on OpenBB, the two new key functionalities in the product, the SDK and the AI/ML Toolkit. And also touch a little bit on the road ahead, because we want to show you that this is not the end of it. This is just the beginning of it, right? There's more ahead. Followed by Jeroen, we have Minh Hoang. She's a product manager at OpenBB, and she's going to particularly focus on OpenBB SDK, the new addition to the product, and how in particular it's being used in institutions, and how it's actually a fantastic addition to institutional workflows. And she has fantastic examples as well to show you. And lastly, it will be Martin Bufi, senior engineer, and he's been leading charge on the AI/ML toolkit. And he has some, he wants to show you how the toolkit can be used to do intelligent forecasting. And that is the agenda for today. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A session, as I pointed out earlier. If you have any questions still missing, we'll go through those then. Then I'll take the mic and close up. But with that said, let's get going. Didier, take it over.
Hi, everyone. My name is Didier Lopes. I'm the founder and CEO of OpenBB. And today I'm going to talk a bit about the history of OpenBB, why we're open source, how the community has been growing, and a bit of where we're going, which at that point, Jeroen is going to take over. So our mission really is to democratize investment research. And it's important to understand like how this started. So myself, I'm a retail investor, and when I started to do investment research, to be honest, like my experience was really painful. I would spend a lot of time doing like investment research. I had always like several tabs open on the browser looking for information. I would have to screenshot multiple data sources and then put them into a Word document or a notebook, write my notes. And then sometimes I would not end up even investing on the ticker. Or if I'm looking into crypto, is all different tabs. And the whole experience was very, very painful. So like my Saturdays were sitting down in front of the laptop to do research on like 3-4 tickers, and that was just like painful. And I wish there was a way that I could somehow like automate, have a better like systematic way to do this. And the reality is that such a tool that didn't exist. And one may say, okay, like you don't have money to afford a better like third-party tool, which is true. I didn't, but even if I did, I don't think that tool really existed, because still today is extremely hard to get the data from, for instance, different assets. So let's say I'm interested on Bitcoin and stock and an ETF, like to get these three data in the same place is like extremely hard. And so that's like where I was like, okay, there must be something better. And I looked for GitHub for better tools, open source, that I could start building on top, and nothing existed. And so I'm going to talk a bit about GameStone Terminal, which I guess that some of you have heard about this. So this GameStone Terminal was that tool that I started to build. So this started almost 2 years ago in December. There was COVID. I couldn't visit my parents because there was no flight. So I was like, okay, I'm going to start building that tool, right? And since I was very proficient at Python, I was like, I'm just going to build it in Python because I'm extremely fast at shipping features on it. And I can do a command line interface like end to end. And I don't need to put in a front end, the back end. And so that's where we started. And also, like, I knew that Python, a lot of people that I knew could join in, since Python is a very like known language and very used in the financial world. So my first step was sitting down in front of the laptop and was thinking like, okay, now I need data sources, right? I'm not like a data source company, but what I realized is that there's a lot of data sources out there that always have like a free API tier where you can sign up to them and get an API key, which you can then use on yourself to do some trying out the data. And then what I realized is that the data sources, the data that they have on this free tier actually doesn't correlate with each other, which means that I could build a powerful platform just to get the free tier. And some of these data sources, I was like, okay, with a paid tier, you get not only more requests per minute, but you can get even better features. So, for me, it's just as easy. I'll just pay the subscription directly to the data source, and I can get that onto the platform directly. So I was like, okay, I mean, this is where I start, and I started building these for like 2 months. I had a full-time job at the time, so I was basically doing it open source on all my evenings. And 2 months after I launched it, I launched it on Reddit, Hacker News, and we went like super viral. And I'm gonna tell you a bit more how I released. So I actually released it in GitHub first as an open source project, and I'm gonna explain you why. So the open source, why? So open source excels at infrastructure, is transparent and secure, is fully customizable. It creates integrated communities, attracts people from every background, pulls the best ideas, and anyone from anywhere can contribute to the project. So that was a big thing from me. So the idea for me was not, I don't want to have just a terminal for myself. I actually want people to help me build this platform. So like I want people from all over the world to add data that is interesting to them. And just there's no other way to achieve that unless you do it through open source. And like one of the things, for instance, that happened like 2 days ago, which was insane, is someone from the community started adding real estate data to the platform in the UK, and that just shows that there's no way you would ever gotten these if your project wasn't open source. And so now I'm going to explain a bit about like what has happened since I released the terminal, and we went from open source in February, and March we went viral on Reddit, Hacker News, and that was like, and even on Vice magazine, which was like insane. A couple of months later, we got approached by OSS Capital, in specific Joseph Jacks, and he gave us one of those like once in a lifetime opportunities to raise money to build a company behind the project. And from me, I was just interested on building these tools that I really wanted to be able to use it for myself. And I just thought that if I'm actually leading the project, there's so much more chances of being like successful, and I can actually hire some of the people that are already on the community, building this. And so that was like a no-brainer. And yeah, so that was amazing. We raised 8.8 million in the end from other amazing angels as well. And then we basically decided, okay, let's change the name. We changed the name for OpenBB, and we for a couple of months were very focused on hiring people from the community, rebranding, creating assets, creating a website, leadership discussions. And then in March was when we announced, and this is March this year, was when we officially came out. So some people think that our funding was in March, but it was actually from August last year. And in August this year, we actually launched OpenBB Bot, which was an amazing feat. And to give you a bit of perspective, what is OpenBB Bot? So OpenBB Bot is separated to OpenBB Terminal, and it's important to understand why we did it. And the reason is one of the main things that people asked about the OpenBB Terminal was an integrated chat. And they asked us that they wanted to talk with friends on the terminal while they were there. And so we really put a step back there, and we tried to understand, okay, but like, if you are actually talking with your friends or colleagues or coworkers on a tool like Discord, on Telegram, does it really make sense for you to go onto another platform to do investment research there, share graphs, and then go back into where you were chatting to talk about like, your investments? It probably does not. So we thought like, it's much better if we can create like a tool that builds on top of the terminal and basically allows you to have access to this data from where you are. So currently on the bot allows you to pull investment research data, not only on Discord, but also on Telegram, which is amazing. And now in November, we are announcing finally OpenBB Terminal 2.0, which has been like on the works for a couple of months. This comes with an SDK and the machine learning AI toolkit, which the team is going to explain better. But it's like I'm just like so excited about letting you know about this today, and the team has been like literally rock stars. This wouldn't be possible without them for sure. This graph here shows our number of stars on GitHub. So for those of you that don't really know what GitHub and stars is, I'm going to give just a brief overview. So GitHub is think of it like as a place online where everyone stores their source code. And ours is open source, which means that our source code, you can actually visualize it. So you can go and you can understand every single line and what it does and why it is there, and you can change it. So you can change it for everyone, or you can change it just for yourself. So that's GitHub. And GitHub stars is, think of it like Instagram post, like likes, but GitHub stars measures the strength of a community, because for you to start a project, you need to be like a developer of a GitHub account. So stars is a proxy for what is the attraction of this project, how many people are actually interested in it, how many people are watching, how many people are engaged. And so this represents very well our journey, because if you realize, at the beginning, there was a spike of 4,000 stars in a day, and then it was a bit stagnant, which was when we were rebranding. And then you can see that we went up, and now we have over 17,800 stars, which under 2 years is amazing. And to put that into perspective, there are more than 359 million GitHub repositories in the world. There's only 1,240 with more than 17,800 stars, which means that we are on the top 0.0003%, right? And if we filter further for Python, which is what we are, an MIT license, which is the most permissive license, and the finest stack, there's only 2 repositories at the top. We are one of them, and the other has more than 4 times the time that we have. So we have been around for less than 2 years, and the other project has been around for 8. And so that just shows the magnitude of our growth and like our trajectory. And so what really we are trying to do with the open source, and I think this is important to explain why we differ from all of the other players in the space, is like we basically have this OpenBB ecosystem, which is like really this OpenBB platform, which is something that is standardized but customizable. So where we see this going is that one day, like academia, hedge funds, quant firms, financial advisors, like insurance companies, banks, even like retail investors, they can take on that platform and really build what they want from it. So they can take this infrastructure, which open source excels at, and they can build from there like whatever they want. And that's the main like exciting part about what we are building, is because at the end of the day, a third-party provider will only give you what a third-party provider wants to give you. So you cannot really call them and ask, oh, can you add this extra feature? And whereas like for in here, you can actually take on the project and you can build on top of it whatever you want. So if you're not interested in Forex data, you can remove it and you can add more data sources. You can add your own proprietary data source. And that's why this is so exciting. So this is just to show you where we see us adding more in the future. So we really think that the OpenBB platform will facilitate the entire professional investment cycle, from strategic asset allocation to in the investment policy. What is the risk that you want to take? The manager selection. Do you want to go through a fund? Portfolio management, or do you optimize your portfolio, or you do the rebalancing? To also like monitoring to understand, based on the macro, how is your portfolio behaving, and finally allowing you to create some investment cases to understand if the strategic asset allocation still makes sense based on your first assumptions. And with that being said, I'm super excited about this. Thank you all for being on this journey with us and for watching this. And I'll let Jeroen talk more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Didier. Hi, everyone. My name is Jeroen. I'm a product manager at OpenBB, and I'm going to tell you something more about what we have in store for you. So the OpenBB Terminal 2.0 and the road ahead. So let's start with the OpenBB Terminal 2.0. We will be introducing 2 new key features, which is going to be the OpenBB SDK, which is short for the Software Development Kit, which is going to allow you to create basically anything into a Jupyter notebook, a code editor, and use all of the functionalities that we have in OpenBB Terminal, as well as an AI and machine learning toolkit, which will allow you to use much of the really high quality machine learning techniques that institutions use as well, and we make it really accessible to anyone. And that's really the beauty of it. But first, I want to show you all of the capabilities that the terminal has and what we have been greatly improving. So the terminal currently has 914 different commands, and those are scattered around all of these different categories. So I'm just showing you a few of the categories that we offer, but there is so much more. For example, when it comes to stock analysis, you can really delve deep into quantitative analysis, fundamental, behavioral, technical analysis, and really get any type of data from a lot of different sources directly into our product. And it can be from both the OpenBB Terminal as well as the OpenBB SDK. So for example, if you want to show income statements or quarterly income statements from Microsoft for the last 20 years, you're able to do so, and you're able to pick whatever data source you prefer to get the data from. So, and we also offer a lot of techniques when it comes to derivatives. Think about options, futures, and similar, as well as macroeconomic data. Think of if you want to see labor statistics, maybe you want to see interest rates between countries, inflation rates, and similar. And lastly, to touch upon also portfolio. I think this is very key. We offer a lot of ways how you can really attribute your portfolio and understand how am I performing to some sort of benchmark or similar. We offer all of these kind of metrics where you can check whatever it makes sense that you maintain your current investment strategy, and also allow you to backtest it or to optimize it accordingly with a lot of different mean variance optimizers. It gets quite technical, but we offer a very large range of options that all help you in your investment research workflow. So let's now continue to the sources. Like I already mentioned, when it comes to, for example, an income statement, you can use whatever source you prefer. Currently, we are integrated with 92 different data sources. So what it really means is that we are not so much data providers, but we actually allow you to pick the data source of your preference. So it could be that you prefer Polygon, or maybe you prefer to use IX Cloud to get your fundamental data. Or when it comes to market data, you have a lot of different sources. Some are free, some are more proprietary. It just depends what you have already, and we can provide that. And this list will go on and on because we also allow you to import your own data sets as well directly. And what you also see here, for example, is economic data and similar. And then I want to look at asset classes and a range of economic data. And these are the current asset classes that we support. It's stocks, it's bonds, derivatives. It's also the newer tech, for example, cryptocurrencies and NFTs, but also Forex and funds. And this is really growing quickly. As Didier already mentioned, we have someone working on a real estate menu so that we can greatly expand in that area. And the beauty here is really that this is an open source contributor. So this is someone outside of our current organization that is willing to help and really create a platform that just works really well for all of us. And that's really key to our product as well. We have a lot of different contributors. We have more than 100 active contributors that have been helping us create the ideal product for all of us. And it also comes to macro and microeconomic data. We offer a lot of options here, and we are connected to a lot of different economic databases like FRED, like Eurostat, and similar, to get any kind of macro data on any type of country. So that is, of course, fundamental when you want to attribute your portfolio, that you also understand the economic conditions in a country. And that's all of the data that we allow, and we allow you to analyze that further in detail. So let's now continue to the OpenBB SDK. So I briefly already mentioned this, but now I want to touch upon what this really is. So the OpenBB SDK is basically the OpenBB terminal directly into your favorite code editor or a Jupyter notebook or similar. And basically what it allows you to do is have the complete freedom to customize it how you want it and integrate it in your own code. And I show you two great examples here of what you can do. The one on the left is about reports. And basically what you can do with this is you can generate your own report directly from the OpenBB SDK. So this report can be about anything because it utilizes all of the functionalities that are in the terminal. So let's say you want to create a monthly report about all of your portfolios that you have. Well, you are able to do so and automate it directly to our OpenBB SDK. So it really makes your investment research workflow also a lot more efficient. And you have the freedom really to customize it how you want. And that's also really what we stand for. We standardize a lot of things, but we make it completely customizable for you. So whatever your needs are, you can make that happen inside our products. And it also comes to a future analysis dashboard. And basically what this is, you can use tools like Streamlit or Dash, if you're familiar with Python, to create your own dashboards that you can, for example, use to demonstrate portfolios to your client or a specific investment research, and actually let them play with it, for example, and then show them the different options if they allocate their assets differently and similar. So then I want to touch upon the AI and machine learning toolkit. Here we really allow you to use up to 18 different models for any type of financial or non-financial data that you might have. You can use all of the data that we have available in the terminal directly into this section in this menu and run any kind of model of the 18 that we have right now. And the beauty of this is really, like Didier mentioned, we're an open source company, but we're also using open source software here. So that makes it very powerful because you can see the entire source code. You can see exactly how everything is designed from these models. So if, let's say, you disagree or you have you want a spin-off of a certain model, you can just do that yourself. And again, we standardize the things, but you can customize them how you want. And that's exactly what and basically what you see in the screenshots below is models being trained and then put out in graphs directly into the OpenBB terminal. Then I want to continue to the road ahead before I hand the floor to Minh. Of course, we have much more in store for you in next year. So now we are at the OpenBB Terminal 2.0, but we are really working hard on designing an OpenBB Terminal Pro. And here we are really listening to what the market is looking for. So this is also where I want to ask you to, by the end of this talk, to fill in the survey and really explain your use case to us and explain how you think this product can really help you out. And so we can perfectly align with the market needs. So we're doing a lot of interviews already, we're having a lot of feedback already, but any input can really help us out and make this a great product. So now I want to hand the floor on to Minh, who will talk more about the OpenBB SDK and present an actual use case from a family office that is already using us. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Jeroen. And hello, everyone. My name is Minh Hoang. I am the product manager at OpenBB. I led the development of the SDK in its conception. So after the months of the team hard work, I'm very excited to share with you today about the OpenBB SDK in details, why they're so powerful and how it's being used today at institutions. So in a nutshell, it gives you direct and programmatic access to all capabilities from OpenBB Terminal. You can think of it as building block to create your own financial tools and application, whether that's be a visualization dashboard or a custom report on Jupyter Notebook. So you might be wondering, okay, so what's so special about the SDK? And I will tell you exactly that. So in terms of technical architecture, the SDK is made up of two different layers. We have the data layer, and then we have the toolbox layer. For the data layer, it gives you out-of-the-box connection to 92 data providers. So before the SDK, integration with a new data provider takes a lot of work, right? So first you need to learn about the API schema, the payload format, how to set the API keys, and only then develop the integration from scratch. And please don't forget about maintenance, right? Because that's something that you always have to do when there's a change in the API. So right now with the SDK, we take care of all of that for you behind the scene. And that includes API key setting, requesting data, data cleaning, and normalization so that it works with the rest of OpenBB features. And so I want to put it in perspective, right? So previously, you need to learn 92 different ways just to get data. And right now, you only need to know one way, and that's using the SDK. And please note that the 92 ways, that the number 92 will only go up from now. I mean, we have 100 contributors creating commit and PR every single day. And that's really the beauty of open source. Then you see that on the right-hand side, we have the toolbox layer. So it's a set of financial formula and analysis tool to perform on 8 different asset classes that include fundamental analysis, technical analysis, behavioral analysis, and most recently, AI and ML Toolkit, which my colleague Martin will tell you a bit later. And because it is fully open source, both the SDK and the OpenBB Terminal, you can fully audit the formula and understand what's really being done behind the scene. We strongly believe that this is the most optimal way of doing research and analysis, rather than, let's say, if you blindly trusting a proprietary solutions, which you cannot really verify the formula and what they're doing. So as a summary, this data encapsulation between the 2 layers gives you a lot of flexibility. So at times you might want just to get data from the data layer, let's say to perform your own analysis. Then you can interact with the data layer. Or let's say if you want to bring in your own proprietary data, be it a portfolio holdings or another third-party vendor, then you can do it as well. And then you can plug it directly in the toolbox layer. So now that you get a sense of how it works, I want to show you an actual example where our user take the SDK and integrate it into their existing workflow. So let's meet Terra Capital. It is a Brazilian multifamily office with 2 billion assets under management. Terra Capital provides its ultra high net worth client with market exposure to, let's say, all asset class worldwide, and that includes equity, fixed income, derivatives, ETF, hedge fund to direct investment in startups. Then we have Jose Governo, who is a quantitative analyst, and he has a very ambitious goal to bring a complete data-driven decision-making process to the entire investment lifecycle, starting first with asset allocation dashboard powered by machine learning and data, which I will show you in a little bit. So before jumping to the actual demo, let's first try to understand their current process, right? So as a first step, as you can see in the screen, Terra always have to understand the client's risk and return objective, and if there's any financial constraint. So based on those objectives, then Terra would perform asset allocation on various asset classes and then rebalance their portfolio periodically. Things like how many % will go to stock, how many % will go to bonds, things like that, etc. And then so the next step is take the asset allocation that we have determined and then construct the actual portfolio, identify the exact security that they want to buy that would help them to achieve the initial objectives. Then after that, we'll have the monitor and performance monitoring and then reporting. So in the dashboard, I will be showing with you, we mainly focus on the second part, asset allocation, and then we also cover briefly the portfolio construction part. All right, so this is it. Let me show you how it looked like. All right, so in the first tab, you see the list of asset classes in the portfolio and the sticker. Here you can edit it, so you can change the weight, you can add, or you can remove, or you can adjust the weight of the asset class. By the way, please note that this is not a real portfolio from Terra. It's only for demonstration purpose. So when you have finished editing, you can see the metadata of the portfolio as well as the risk and return metrics from each asset class, as well as the entire portfolio. Here you'll see some more visualization. What is the portfolio holding? What is it made of? Some more. So here we have another backtesting against the S&P 500 and then the TBU ETF to see how does the portfolio performing comparing with the benchmark. Finally, we have several visualization on risk, portfolio return, and then how the asset classes would correlate with each other. All right, so let's go to the second tab now. So here we basically take what we have, the return from the portfolio that you saw earlier, and then project it, its growth over the next 10 to 100 years. On the right-hand side, you will see a list of parameters to adjust. So here you really need to understand the client's needs and objective, which is the first part that I said. So you can configure things like time horizon, expenses, what would be the initial wealth to start with, contribution, so how much and how frequent. Then you can even set, let's say, any one-off spend, things like if the family would like to purchase a property or pay for their children's education in 1 year. So the dashboard will account for that and show you how their wealth is impacted. Then finally, you will see the sensitivity analysis. So on the y-axis, you have the wealth. And then on the x-axis, you have the interest rate. So let's say if the initial wealth is 50 million and then the interest rate is 1%, how much would be the projected wealth over the time horizon. Cool. All right. So you have seen everything about the dashboard. I want to address the elephant in the room right now, because I know that you might be wondering the whole time. So which part of the dashboard is actually powered by the SDK? So let's start with the data layer. So in this portfolio table, every time that you enter a new ticker, the backend is calling the SDK command to get historical data from your chosen data provider, let's say Polygon. Remember the data layer I told you about, right? So that's exactly that. Then we also have the toolbox layer. So use the historical price that we have and apply risk and return metrics on top of that. So we can get volatility and then alpha and then Sharpe ratio. Finally, do you know that this chart, the risk contribution per asset, portfolio return, and asset dendrogram, all of this visualization is provided by the SDK as well. So these are the visualization that come as a part of the whole package. All right, so now that I have told you, I guess it wasn't really obvious which part of the system was done by the SDK and which part is actually Terra proprietary code. And really, that's exactly what we want to achieve with the SDK, because you really want to have your own application to look like and feel like it's your own system, right? You don't really want to have the end user feel like it's different software collect pieces together. And I really want to stress that, because that does not happen accidentally. We make a conscious design choice and have put in the work to make sure that you have as much customization that you want, from, let's say, changing the color scheme to combining our chart with your old plot. So because at the end of the day, we really want you to integrate the SDK into your system seamlessly. So much to the point that if you don't tell people, they might not even know about it. And what I told you is what we are executing on Didier vision that he mentioned earlier. Because we are investment research infrastructure, we are standardizable, but we are customizable. And that brings me to a quote from Jose Governo. I will not be reading that out loud because we also have it on the press release. But essentially, with the SDK, Jose was able to cut his development time from 3 weeks to 1 week, so reduce it by a third. And not only that, it also adds a lot of value to the business. So with the dashboard, they can build portfolio live during the meeting and demonstrate with potential clients the impact of the portfolio when adding, or let's say removing, an asset class. So whereas with before, they will need to have multiple meetings going back and forth, showing the client, and right now everything they can actually achieve their desired portfolio more quickly. And we also have a happy customers here, a happy partner. So we have Jason from PyQuant. So he saw the great utility of the SDK, and he has decided to adopt the SDK for the upcoming January cohort. in his course, Getting Started with Python for Quant Finance. So if there's any of you here, you would like to learn about the SDK, but you don't really know Python, this is something that I would really recommend. Finally, please don't take our word for it. Make sure that you try it for yourself. We are open source. We are Python based. It has 549 unique functions, all available for you. You can just simply do pip install, and everything is at your fingertips. Thank you. Now I will pass the mic over to Martin, which will tell you about our very exciting AM/MI toolkit.
Thank you, Minh. Hello, everyone. My name is Martin Bufi. I am a senior machine learning engineer here at OpenBB, tasked in bringing forward a revolutionary AI toolkit to be used by all. I'm super excited to present more information and provide a quick preview on our new ML toolkit and how we're democratizing investment research and machine learning in finance. Let's dive in. OpenBB are looking to provide a toolkit that is both simple to use, standardized, and yet customizable as possible, depending on your needs. Configure it to your likings, basically. We provide you all the tools that are required in modern day data science pipeline. These toolkit targets both financial professionals, experienced data scientists, and anyone in between looking to spawn into a different field. Whether you're starting to learn what's out there or have your own pipelines and are looking for something new, we invite you to take our toolkit for a spin and use it for your use cases, talk with your colleagues, and maybe experiment. Bring in your own data sets, your custom pipelines, or your experiments, and even the special hyperparameters that you use, and quickly conduct your research, learnings, and experiments on a platform that you can trust because it's open source, because you can see what's happening under the hood. This is all packaged nicely in an open source manner, which means you can understand what is happening and you can iterate. There are no more black boxes and all the information is at your fingertips. And it's the nice thing about this is it's all processed locally on your own machine. We currently provide 18 up-to-date models, all handpicked based on literature. This number continues to increase as we gain traction from other machine learning practitioners and even now organizations looking to include their custom pipelines for all to use. All of these models are state-of-the-art, and the goal of the platform is to make sure that they're always updated and relevant. So you don't have to worry about models breaking or becoming irrelevant. Always stay tuned to see the most up-to-date and recent things. Run all these models locally on your machine and be certain that the data stays private to you as you experiment with it and the models that reside on OpenBB's platform. In summary, anyone can load data. They can explore it, they can engineer on it, and then they can forecast with it. An entire complete local ML pipeline processed within seconds in a few commands. As mentioned previously, here are our current model architectures in the toolkit. This is thanks to our tight integration with some of the most robust and popular forecasting libraries currently in the market. There are over 120 hyperparameters in total for a user to experiment with if need be. OpenBB has provided all models with efficient parameters, aka hyperparameters or tuning parameters as they call it, for most data sets. But we do recommend you try it for yourself and see what you can come up with. With that summarized, I now want to take you through two example workflows of using both the terminal and SDK. These examples only scratch the surface, so please head over to our terminal and SDK documentation to understand more advanced workflows and use cases. So on this slide, we begin by using it on the terminal. Simply put, here we show how one can load a data set directly into our forecast menu from both the terminal itself and an external data of any kind. And I'm going to repeat it again. External data of any kind, so long as that it's numerical for now. All of this can be done with simple commands in the blink of an eye. All data is loaded within memory and it's ready to be explored and processed. The ability to bring in data with such ease is what makes it revolutionary. You're no longer fiddling with numbers. You're no longer trying to manage the data or clean it. It all happens intelligently under the hood. Since we may want to use multiple data sets representing different information, aka external factors, users can combine multiple data sets with a single command. And all of this will be handled by the terminal, by our toolkit, so that you can make sure that even if timestamps don't align or that there's missing values, we've got you covered. Lastly, we can train a linear regression model on this newly combined data set. Things to note in this command. We specify what target column we want to forecast. We can also use unlimited number of external factors, which we also call path covariates, that may affect our target. It is important to note that all these models that come within the toolkit come with automatic backtesting that can be customized to your liking. For instance, the frequency, how long your rolling windows are, etc. Only last thing to note is that even now a few models, including this linear regression, come with AI explainability features to understand even more what's going under the hood and give you reasoning as to why the model is producing the outputs it is. This is something that is new in the field, and it's something that a lot of other providers of models don't provide you with. In this next slide here, we show you how to achieve the exact same workflow from the previous slide, but with our SDK. All toolkit functions that be built into the SDK to allow users to bring the terminal and all of its features with this AI ML toolkit into their application. Finally, you're no longer fiddling with environments. You're no longer fiddling with how do you set this up on this machine or that machine. It just works. Again, load the data, explore it, do some feature engineering, and then iterate on your models. To bring the point home, one team member built the following dashboard over the weekend to showcase the possibilities of the toolkit through the use of the SDK. All the data is from free and popular crypto sources. This is purely a proof of concept, but one can start imagining the types of automatic pipelines any user, may it be retail or institutional, can utilize for scalable machine learning, experimentation, and development. With that said, we encourage you all today to go to our website, our documentation, and our repository and get started experimenting, conducting your research, or even contributing to this platform. There are endless possibilities with this, and this toolkit is only getting started. Also, please stay tuned for our next blog post focusing on this SDK and AI ML toolkit and what the future holds for these exciting new products. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, team. This is exciting. As head of product, you can imagine my excitement with all of this stuff. This is the first time I'm helping launch this, and you'll see more of me in the future. For now, let's focus on Q&A. If you have any questions, you can post them on the Q&A chat session, and our team will answer them. And more importantly, after this session, if you want to continue to have any questions or if you have any feedback for us, please go to our website or click on this link, the QR code. It will take you to the links you need, and there is a support and a feedback links there. You will be able to reach any of the presenters today or anybody else if you need to chat with. So please do that. Jeroen, do we have any questions that we need to answer? I'm going to open the chat window to see.
Didier, can you quickly take this over for me? I am just grabbing the survey because I would really like everyone's input on the survey as well before you go.
That's fine. I'll go through the questions that are here, open questions. There are 74 already answered, about only 6 available. Is there a list of the 92 data providers with links to sign up?
Jeroen is replying to that one.
Okay, he's typing an answer. That's good.
Yeah, Martin is replying to the second one.
Can I reply live to the second one?
Yeah, let's do it live now.
Yeah, so the question is, can the AI ML on-device inferencing be GPU accelerated inside and outside the SDK? And the short answer is yes, in the future. We're working on currently, right now, we want to make the toolkit accessible to all. But we know that data sets, as they get larger and as people start utilizing this in their own environments, whether it's with the terminal or the SDK in the cloud or on their own machine, we want to give you the option to use all the real-time forecasting pipelines and have GPU accelerated models. So that will be coming in the future, and we'll be expanding that total coverage.
Thank you, Martin. Next question is anonymous attendee, but what markets do you currently support? Yeah, do you want to take it?
Yeah, I can take a couple of these. So we support, like you can think about, we support literally anything that the data sources support. So the cool thing about what we're doing is that we actually don't own the data, so we don't have much limitations on that sense. So if there's a market that you want and need, you can just say or ask someone to integrate it on our platform, and then that's very easy to do, because we just work as a place where we standardize the way to get multiple data sources in one location. So then it's like we just need someone to add that to the code, and that can be us, but can also be like an open source contributor. And then we do go to a standard like review process where we test, we are testing, we make sure that the documentation works, and then you can have access to that special market that you are interested in, if we don't have it already, because we already support quite a few. I think just on, for instance, stocks data, we have like 5 different data sources that you can load data from, which is nice.
Thank you. Next question.
Yeah, I can reply to some of them. How do I publish data source to be integrated into OpenBB? Just the regular GitHub PR process. Yes, that is exactly correct. So if you want to add any data source, you can do a PR process. Someone from the team will get like the API key necessary. If it's paid, we may ask you to have like a testing, or we may ask the data source directly, can we use the testing API key so that our users can have access to this data? And if everything works, we will approve it. How do you match the data from different data sources? I guess some might use Bloomberg tickers, some ISIN. That's a very, very good question. So I would say that's actually our biggest task with the platform, and that's why it's so hard to do what we are doing, is that each platform uses their own convention for symbols. And if you think that stocks is bad, but then you go into crypto and it's a pain, because some data providers use BTC, others BTC/USD, others like a Bitcoin in extents. So like, yeah, this is our biggest like issue, and that's something that we are working on. But ultimately, what we do is like we on the SDK and on the terminal is that we leave up to the data source convention, so that if you want, you can go into the data source and really look into what they offer, since that's something that may change over time and we don't have much control over. Regarding the env file, yes, that should work. That should be easy to do. We are reading the first .env that we see on that folder, I believe. So you should not have problems with that. But if you do, just join our Discord, and we can help you like directly one-to-one, and so that you can be able to set up much faster. Great presentation. How did you decide of going the paid pro product route for the future? Is it feasible to go another route? So when we talk about pro product, we're just talking about a better interface than the command line. This is not to say that the pro product will be paid. We haven't decided it, but as you can imagine, we need to understand how we can create like a business model, because the seed round allowed to reach this far, and we still have like a long runway. So there's still a lot of things that we can create, but obviously we're gonna have to find sustainable business model. But one thing that I can guarantee you is that the command line interface, what is today the OpenBB terminal that you can check on GitHub, will always and forever be free, and we'll think about how we can monetize without impacting the community. The reality of open source projects is a bit different than your typical SaaS, because you can just monetize 1% of users or institutions for like things like support, training, security features, and things like that. So we will try to do it as smooth as we can to not impact the community. Do we need to have subscriptions to datasets separately, or is it all included for free? No, you do need to have subscriptions. So that's an important thing. So you need to go into the data sources and you sign up for their data, because we don't want to take that away. We don't put their data into an OpenBB base. No, so when you are actually using the platform on your machine, you are just being redirected through our platform, but you eat the API endpoints from these data sources. So and this is good because it provides like a zero-sum game where like data sources have advantages of being integrated on our platform because they get all of the users that are using us, and the users have advantage because they have all of these data sources in one location.
I think it's good to note, just to add to this, is that it doesn't mean that every single data source that we have that you actually need to pay for that. It's just that you are connected to it with your API key that you get from there. But a lot of the data sources have a lot of free tiers, so you can get a lot of financial data for free already. That's important to note.
Yeah. Is there a way to automate trading using signals from OpenBB and using Alpaca for trading? No, there isn't yet. This is something that we could further explore. But one thing that I would say is that, like, I wouldn't recommend our tool for instance, things like high frequency trading, just because like we are always relying on the data, on the data sources. So like, you know, since we don't control the data, there's always going to be a bit of a delay there. And then the data, the frequency of how fast you get it, it really depends on the data source where we are getting it from. How do you manage to achieve standardization in such a large open source project? Yeah, that's a good question, and it's tough. It's tough. So like even between the team, that's why like I'm like saying that I'm impressed with the team that we've built is an understatement. This is a very, very hard problem, and the team has been amazing at it. We have often like discussions about, okay, oh, are we gonna standardize this convention? And we're always listening to feedback from the community, and a lot of things that we are today in terms of like standardization, like the name of the flags or tickers or symbols and whatnot, has been coming from suggestions from the community that we have listened and iterated upon. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let me add something to that. If you take an example like Wikipedia is a good example, only open source will allow you to do that. So this is one reason why we are an open source company, and because it's a contribution from hundreds, thousands of people, and that's how we get standardization. That's how we get the consensus on what standardization means. So you can think of it as not designed by committee, but it's by default, it becomes standardized. That's our goal. Okay.
It is fair to assume that.
Yeah, I can take this one. Yeah, because I noticed one thing that we have a lot of questions about the quality of data set. And you're right, because right now we have a curated set of data providers. So even though if you have data providers, you can come, you can do a PR. On top of that, we do make sure that we actually check for quality. But however, at the end of the day, we don't owe the data, so there might be some errors there. Having said that, for the Pro, something that we have on planning is that we might be able to provide that features for you. So if there's something wrong, I mean, that's something on the pipeline, but we just want to make sure that we do pay a lot of attention to the quality of the data, because at the end of the day, garbage in, garbage out, and you really need to make sure that the output you have is actually correct.
What is the best path, any white papers to integrate more data sources? Go ahead.
I can't take that on. I have a video that's where I added a feature. It was earlier this year, and I think that one thing that we have actually not been doing so well, and that's mostly because we've been so much focused on actually adding feature, is on tutorials and education. So now that OpenBB Terminal 2.0 is out of the way, and that people are starting to give feedback on the ML AI Toolkit and SDK, we will start focusing even with Sri on building good tutorials for users to contribute to the project, add new data sources, use our tools, understand even examples. So the dashboard, for instance, that Jose from our team built, you will actually open source that code so that people can understand how they build. So we will try to be more transparent and be more like better at the educational material.
Okay, I want to stop this Q&A here because we're on the we have about 2 minutes left. And Jeroen, Didier, can you keep answering whatever you can on the Q&A while I close up the session? That way we can answer as many as we can. But if you miss any, please remember we have this this links. You can go to our website. How do I close this? Okay, you can go to our website, request feedback.
Sri, sorry, just one question, which is important. Someone is asking if they can review these Q&A questions after. Do you know that one?
Yes, I think we have access to all those questions. We'll be able to answer them. And especially if we have your name on it, we'll try to reach out to you. Okay, for your question, we'll answer those questions. Sorry, I'm not sure why it went here, but because I made a mistake. So again, this is, I want to thank you all very much for attending our launch event. This is exciting for us. This is, you can imagine, working with this crew is like a dream come true for me. I've been here only for 4 months. I'm in 5 months now, but it's been fun, and we will we have a lot of plans, like especially the Pro, we're focusing on right now. We'll be in touch with you shortly to get feedback, not just on this event, but please, we need your help to make Pro really a big product in the sense everybody should be able to use professional quality investment research tools. That's our goal with that, right? As Didier pointed out, it's not a question of whether we put a price tag on it or not. We haven't even decided on that. So but the goal is to make it a much more usable product, because not everybody is comfortable with the CLI, command line interface, or Python. We want to make it accessible to everybody. That's the goal with that. So we need your feedback. Help us with that. Please answer our survey that will, following this, you will get an email from us. We really appreciate it if you can do that. And lastly, this is an open source project, guys. So we, and everybody, so we need your help, right? Open source doesn't mean you just have to write code, but it can be many ways you can help us, right? Because it's all open. You can give us, you may be an expert at a certain area in the industry. We would like to hear from you because we want to capture your thoughts more than code, right? Code, of course, is welcome, but even if you have just thoughts, please share them with us. We want to do this together with you, right? Again, thank you very much. And that's the end of the event. And if you have any questions, again, please go to our, get this link. All the links are there. You can join all our support groups, and we are there to answer any questions you have going forward. Thank you.